ሰላም በዚህ በማርቆስ ኤዱኬሽናል ቻናል ዩቲዩብ ፕሮግራም ነው የምትከታተሉ። ዛሬ ደግሞ ትንሽ ለየት ያለ ፕሮግራም እየመጥቻለሁ። የዛሬ ፕሮግራሜ በአማርኛ ጀምሬ ግን በእንግሊዝኛም ይኖረዋል በዛሬ ፕሮግራም ላይ። ምክንያቱም የዛሬ ፕሮግራም ዋና ቪዲዮ ዋና ዓላማ አንዳንድ ቤዚክ የሆነ እንግሊዝኛ በተለይ ደግሞ ሲቲዘንሺፕ ቴስት ለሚፈተኑ አንዳንድ የሲቲዘንሺፕ ኦፊሰር ስለሚያነጋግራቸው በዛን ጊዜ ለዛ መልስ መመለስ እንዲችሉ በዚህ ጊዜ የሚጠየቁ ጥያቄዎችን በተቻለ መጠን በእንግሊዝኛ እና ጥያቄዎች በመጠየቅ ከዛ ደግሞ መልሱንም በተወሰነ ደረጃ በመናገር እንግዲህ በአጠቃላይ በካናዳ ውስጥ የሲቲዘንሺፕ ቴስት ለሚቀርቡ ፈተናን ከተፈተኑ በኋላ አሁን ባለ ፕሮግራም ሲቲዘንሺፕ ኦፊሰር አንዳንድ ጥያቄም ስለሚጠይቅ በዚህም ደግሞ እንግሊዝኛ ቼክ ስለሚያደርግ መሰረታዊ እንግሊዝኛ ማወቅ እንዲችሉ በተወሰነ ደረጃ እንግዲህ በመጀመሪያ መግቢያው ላይ እናገራለሁ። ግን ከዛ በኋላ በእንግሊዝኛ ደግሞ ሌላ ሰው እንግሊዝኛ ኔቲቭ እንግሊዝኛ ስፒከር የሆነ ሰው የምትናገረው ድምጽ ደግሞ በዚህ ፕሮግራም ላይ ይኖራል። ያንን በመስማት እንግዲህ እንድትዘጋጁ ለማድረግ ያክል ነው። ግን በተለያየ ጊዜ የተለያዩ ፕሮግራሞችን እያዘጋጀው ለትምህርትም ለመረጃ መሆን ነገሮችን ስለሚያቀርብ ይህንን ማርቆስ ኤዱኬሽናል ቻናልን ሰብስክራይብ አድርጉ፣ ሼር አድርጉ፣ ከዛ ደግሞ ላይክ አድርጉት። እንደዚህ በደንብ የምትከታተሉ ከሆነ ሼር የምታደርጉ ከሆነ በጣም ጥሩ ፕሮግራሞች እየቀረቡ ነው ያሉት። ሲቲዘንሺፕ ቴስት መሰጠት ተጀምሯል እና እየተሰጠ ነው ያለው። ፈተናውም ኦንላይን ነው እየተሰጠ ያለው እና እንግዲህ ፈተና የሚመጣላችሁ በ20 ቀን ውስጥ እንድትፈተኑ የሚል ነው መጣው። ከዛ በኋላ ፈተና ስትዘጋጁ እንግዲህ በኮምፒውተር ላይ ምንድነው ዌብካም ባለው ካሜራ ባለው ኮምፒውተር በዛ ገብታችሁ አይዲያችሁን ሰጥታችሁ ከዛ በኋላ ወደ ቴስት ትገባላችሁ። በዛ ሁኔታ ነው ፈተና እየተደረገ ያለው። ፈተናውም ደግሞ ቀላል አይመስለኝም። እንግዲህ የተፈተኑ ሰዎች ያውቃሉ እየከበደ ነው ኦንላይን ስለሆነ ይመስለኛል። በዚህ ጉዳይ ላይ እንግዲህ እርዳታ የምትፈልጉ ማለት በአጠቃላይ በተለያየ መንገድ እንግዲህ በሲቲዘንሺፕ ቴስት አካባቢ እንግዲህ በዚህ በካልጋሪ እኔ በዛን ኤሪያ ላይ ስሰራ ከ10 ዓመት በላይ ቆይቻለሁ። ሁሉ ጥያቄዎችን ማቃቸዋለሁ። ስለዚህ አንዳንድ እርዳታ ወይም እንዲያስጠናችሁ ሆነ አንዳንድ ነገሮችን እንዲገልጽላችሁ ከፈለጋችሁ እንግዲህ ደውላችሁ ልታገኙ ትችላላችሁ። እዚህ ካልጋሪ አልበርታ ያላችሁ በሌላ ቦታም ያላችሁ አንዳንድ ጥያቄዎችን ለመዘጋጀት ስትፈልጉ እኔ ሊያዘጋጃችሁ እችላለሁ። ሌሎችም ደግሞ እንደዚህ የሚያዘጋጃችሁ ካሉ እንግዲህ በአንድ ጊዜ ለማለፍ ከፈለጋችሁ እንግዲህ ዝግጅት እንደምጠይቅና ፈተናም ቀላል እንዳልሆነ በዛ አጋጣሚ ልነግራችሁ ፈልጋለሁ። ሌላው ደግሞ ምንድነው አሁን እየተጀመረው በዚህ አንድ ሳምንት በማይበልጥ ጊዜ ውስጥ ፈተናም ካለፉ በኋላ ኦንላይን የሚፈተኑ ሰዎች ሲቲዘንሺፕ ኦፊሰር ወይም ጃጅ ሊያነጋግራቸው እንደምፈልግ ኦንላይን ላይ እንደዚሁ ሊያነጋግራቸው እንደምፈልግ እንደዛ አይነት ነገር ጀምሯል። ይሄ በዛም ላይ አይዲ ቼክ ይደረጋል። አይደንቲቲና የራሳችሁ መሆናችሁንና አይዲያችሁን ቼክ ያደርጋሉ። በዛውም ደግሞ አጋጣሚ እንግሊዝኛችሁን ቼክ ሊያደርጉ ይችላሉ። ምንም እንግሊዝኛ ማጥሶ ከሆነ ፈተና እንኳን ቢያልፍ አንዳንድ ጊዜ ሜቢ እንዳይጥሉ ጥንቃቄ ማድረግ ያስፈልጋል። ትንሽ ኮሙኒኬሽን ያስፈልጋል። ለዛ ብዬ ነው አንዳንድ ጥያቄዎችን አሁን አዘጋጅ የሚያቀርበው። ከነ በኋላ ግን ከነ በበለጠ ሁኔታ ኔቲቭ እንግሊዝኛ ተናጋሪ የሆነች ሰው የምትናገረው እንግዲህ ድምጿ ይኖራልና እንግዲህ ይሄንን በማመሳከር በአጠቃላይ እንድትዘጋጁ አሁንም ለወደፊትም ሲቲዘንሺፕ ቴስት ሲኖራችሁ በአካልም ስትሄዱ ለወደፊት ለምትጠየቃችሁ እንግሊዝ ኖሌጅ ቴስት ብቻ አይደለም ያለው። የካናዳ ጂኦግራፊ ወይም ሂስትሪ ወይም ኖሌጅ ቴስት ብቻ አይደለም ያለው። እንግሊሽም ኖሌጅ ቤዚክ እንግሊሽ ኖሌጅ ቴስት ያደርጋሉ። አንዳንድ ጊዜ እንግሊሽ ኖሌጅ ቴስት ያላለፈ ሰው የወደቀበት ሁኔታም አለ። ስለዚህ ቤዚክ እንግሊሽን በዛን ሁኔታ እንድታዩ ወደ መቀጠለው ወደ እንግሊዝኛው ልምምድ እንሄዳለን።
This officer will usually begin the interview with small talk by asking simple questions. And although they are being friendly, they are definitely evaluating your English speaking skills. So questions such as, how are you? Have you been waiting long? How's the weather outside? Is it still raining? Did anyone come with you today? How did you get here? Did you have any trouble finding the office? Where did you park? Questions such as those will be in the very beginning of the interview. Again, try to practice talking with different people and having those small talk, small conversations. People in the grocery store, when you're out shopping, just general, everyday, small talk conversations. Okay. The next part of the interview will be to administer the oath, the truth oath. Listen for the commands and do exactly as you are told. For example, do not sit if they tell you to stand. They are still looking at your ability to understand the English language, and they will be giving you various commands throughout the interview, watching to see that you are able to follow the commands. Okay. Such as when you walk into the office, they may say, "Please remain standing and raise your right hand." Okay, so just do that. They may or they may not model that, but if they sit down and they tell you to remain standing, please make sure you remain standing and raise your right hand when you are told to do so. Do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Answer. Please have a seat. Again, at the beginning of the interview, they might ask more introductory questions, such as, "You just took an oath. Please tell me what an oath is. Please show me your green card, identification, and passports. Do you understand why you are here today? Why do you want to become an American citizen?" Be able to have small conversations, follow commands, and answer basic introductory questions. Okay. Now we will go into the N400 application. You will not have your application in front of you, so it is important that you know your answers to all the questions on the form. Here I'm going to ask you questions. Please pause the video and answer the questions according to your specific application. Okay? Many of the questions will be the same question, but I'm just asking it in a different way. Okay? People get in trouble because they might just memorize or keep going over the N400 application and only know those questions, how they are asked on that form. If the officer uses different language, the officer puts the questions into his or her own words, you still need to be able to respond to the question. You need to be able to answer that question. Okay, so for example, we're going to mix up these questions. These are questions, sorry about that, these are questions about your eligibility. Your eligibility. Why are you eligible to be a citizen? How long have you been a permanent resident? How many years have you had your green card? How many years have you had your permanent resident card? When did you become a permanent resident? When did you get your permanent resident card? What is the date of residency? What is your date of residency? How long have you lived here? You will be residing in this country? Now some questions, information about you. State your full name, please. What is your full name? What is your family name? What's your last name? What's your first name? What's your given name? How do you spell that? Could you spell your last name for me? Do you have a middle name? What's your middle name? Give your full name. I need your family name and given name. State your name. Your name, first, middle, and last, please. Give the name on your alien registration card. Please state your full legal name. What is your current legal name? Have you used any other names since you became a permanent resident? Do you go by any other names? Previous names? What other names have you had? Have you had other names? Can you list any names you've had before, if any? What other names have you used? Have you ever changed your name? Give your alien registration number. What is the number on your green card? I need your alien number, please. Can you state your alien registration number? Give me your social security number. Do you know your social security number? What is your SSN? What is your social security number? Tell me your social security number, please. What's your date of birth? When were you born? State your date of birth. Date of birth, month, day, and year, please. Tell me your date of birth. What country are you from originally? What is your country of birth? Where were you born? In which country were you born? In what place were you born? So, where are you from? What place? Give your place of origin. Give the city of your birth. You were born in what city? What city are you from? State your city of origin. Give the country where you were born. What is your country of nationality? Are you a citizen of any other country? Okay, so you can see we said the same questions in many different ways. So you don't necessarily know how the officer is going to ask you those questions on your form. So just be familiar with the different ways that it could be asked, these questions. Okay, so let's move on, and some information to contact you. What's your phone number? Do you have a different number at work? Is this your cell number? Is this a mobile number? Do you have an email address? What's your email address? Okay, let's move on to information about your residence. Where do you live? What is your address? Has your address changed since you sent in your application? When did you leave that address? Do you rent or own? Who do you live with? What is your current address? What's your mailing address? Do you have a different mailing address? Where do you receive mail? Where have you resided during the last 5 years? How long have you lived at your current address? Currently, where do you live? What is your address at the present time? Presently, where do you live at? What's your address right now? What's your street address? What was your previous address? Where did you live before? That means like before the current address. Where did you live before? How long have you lived where you are now? What was your last address? When did you begin living at that address? When did you move to that address? What city do you live in? What is your city? What is your state? What state are you in? What's your zip code? What county do you live in? During the last 5 years, what addresses have you had? List all of your addresses from the last 5 years. Have you lived anywhere else in the last 5 years? Have you lived at any other addresses? Where else have you lived since you became a permanent resident? Okay, let's ask some questions about your employment in the schools you may have attended. Let's see. About, do you work? Can you please tell me where you work? At what place do you work? Do you have a job right now? Are you currently working? What is your occupation? How long have you worked there? List places of employment for the last 5 years. For the last 5 years, where have you worked? For the last 5 years, where were you employed? Who is your current employer? Who do you work for? What employment do you have right now? Where do you work? What job do you have right now? Who is your employer at the moment? What is your employer's address? How long have you worked there? Where is your job? Where are you employed? When did you begin working there? How long have you been working there? How long have you had that job? What do you do at your work? What kind of work do you do? What is your position? What job do you have there? What is your occupation? Where did you work before? What did you do? When did you leave that job? How long did you work there? Have you had any other jobs? Have you worked anywhere else in the last 5 years? Where else have you worked since you became a permanent resident? What jobs have you had in the past 5 years? How do you support yourself? Okay, let's move on to information about your parents. Okay. And if you have any questions about these questions, like you didn't understand how something was phrased, then send me a note in the comments and I'll try to explain it. And that's a good point about if you have questions, if an officer asks you a question and you don't understand it, you can ask the officer to rephrase the question. If you ask the officer to rephrase the question, they should say the same question in a different way. So like I'm doing now, I'm saying a lot of the same questions, but I'm using different ways to say these questions. Some biographic information. How tall are you? What's your height? How much do you weigh? What's your weight? What's your hair color? What color is your hair? What's your eye color? What color are your eyes? What's your race? What race are you? Information about your marital status. What's your marital status? Have you ever been married? So these are just different ways of asking questions about your marital status, but please make sure you have all the documents. Your marital certificate, divorce certificates for you and your spouse, if he or she has divorce certificates, death decrees, if you are a widower, things like that. Make sure you have all those documents with you. Okay. So again, what's your marital status? Have you ever been married? What is your marital status at the present time? What's your marital status right now? Tell me your marital status at the moment. Did you ever marry before? How many times have you been married? Were you married prior to your current status? Do you have any former husband? Do you have a former wife? Or do you have a former spouse? What country is your husband from? What country is your spouse from? Or your wife? Presently, what marital status do you hold? Can you tell me if you are married, divorced, widowed, or single? Are you married? Is this your first marriage? What is your marital status at the present time? What is your marital status right now? Are you currently married? Were you married before? What is your spouse's name? Can I have the first name of your husband, or wife, or spouse? What is your husband or wife's first name? Where did your marriage take place? Where did you get married? What is the place where you wed? Where were you wed? What is the date of birth of your spouse? What is your spouse's birth date? When was your spouse born? When was your husband born? When was your wife born? Where does your spouse live? Where does your husband live or wife live? Does your spouse live with you? What is your spouse's country of origin? Where is your husband or wife originally from? Where was your spouse born? What is the country where your spouse was born? How many times has he or she been married? Has your spouse been married before? Has your spouse had any previous marriages? Give me the date of entrance of your spouse. Do you have any previous husbands or wives? Were you married before? Give the current immigration status for your spouse. What is the present immigration status of your spouse? How many times has your present spouse been married? What is the number of times your spouse was married? What is your husband's or wife's name? What was the date on which your spouse entered the country? What is his or her birth date? Or what is his or her date of birth? Okay. They might also ask about your spouse's employment. Is your spouse currently employed? Where is your spouse currently employed? Where does your spouse work? Does your spouse work? What is his or her occupation? I just added those because I know somebody that got that question. Okay. Let's see. Information about your children. Do you have any children? Have you got kids? Do you have kids? Do you have any sons or daughters? How many children do you have? Do you have any stepchildren? Do you have any adopted children? What is your child's relationship to you, or what are your children's relationship to you? Are your children biological to you? What are their names? What are their dates of birth? When were they born? What are their birth dates? Where were they born? In which countries were they born? Do they live with you? Where do they live? What is your child's A number? What is the immigration status of your children? Do you have any children from previous marriages? Does your husband or wife have any previous children? Do you and your spouse have any children? Okay, so that's it for this video. Those are a bunch of different ways to ask the same questions. And so please keep practicing your English language skills as much as possible. Listen to a lot of English radio and news programs. Try to talk to and have informal conversations with people. Let me know if you have any questions below, and thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
እንግዲህ ምንድነው አላማቸው እዚህ ላይ ያለው ኦፊሰር የሚጠይቅበት አላማ እንግሊዘኛችሁ ቼክ ለማድረግ አንድ ነገር ይጠይቃል ማለት ነው። በዛም አጋጣሚ እንግሊዘኛችሁ ቼክ ያደርጋል። ስለዚህ ምንድነው የሚለው have you been waiting for a long time? How is the weather outside? Did you have trouble finding a place to come here to the immigration? Do you understand why you are here today? Do you understand why you are here today? Why do you want to be a Canadian citizen? Show me your PR card. Show me front side and back side. Also, immigration officer or citizenship judge, they ask the same question in a different way. They ask the same question in a different way. They use a different language to ask the same question. Which address do you live? I live at 1771 41 Street, Southwest, Calgary, Alberta. T1Y0B5. What is the date of your permanent residence? Which day did you become permanent resident of Canada? Which day did you become landed immigrant? I became permanent resident of Canada on April 21, 2001. I became landed on April 21, 2001. How long did you live in Canada? How long did you live in Canada? I lived in Canada for 10 years. Can you tell me your full name, please? Can you state your full name, please? My name is so and so. What is your full name? What is your full name? Your given name, your first name, middle name, and family name. What is your first name, middle name, and last name? Do you go by any other name? Do you go by any other name? No, I have only the same first, middle, and last name. Have you used any other name after you became a permanent resident of Canada? Have you used any other name after you become permanent resident of Canada? No, I didn't change my name. I always have the same name. What is the number on your PR card? What is your UCI number? What is your client ID number, which is on your permanent residence card? What is your date of birth? What country are you from originally? What country are you from originally? What is the country of your citizenship? What is the country of your citizenship? In which country were you born? In which country were you born? What is the country of your nationality? What is the country of your nationality? I am Ethiopian or I am Eritrean. Do you have any other nationality? No. Where have you resided in the last 5 years? Where have you resided in the last 5 years? I lived in Calgary for the last 5 years. I lived at 711 and Calgary, Alberta. Currently, where do you live? Currently, where do you live? I live in Calgary. What is your street address? What is your street address? Do you have any other nationality? Where have you resided in the last 5 years? Okay, now I ask you about your employment. Do you have a job right now? Do you work right now? What is your occupation? What kind of job you do? I work as a security guard. What kind of occupation you have? I work as a security guard. Where do you work? I work at the Westin Hotel. What is your position at the Westin Hotel? I work as doorman. I work as housekeeping attendant. Who is your current employer? Who is your current employer? What is your employer? What is the address of your employment? What kind of work do you do? How tall are you? How much do you weigh? What is your hair color? What is your eye color? What is your ethnicity? What is your race? And this kind of question, like, you guys can answer, or we can answer, like, I'm black or I'm African. How many days you stay outside Canada? How many days did you stay outside Canada? Have you traveled outside Canada in the last 5 years? Have you traveled outside Canada in the last 5 years? When? I traveled to Ethiopia from April 5, 2019 to May 30, 2019. How many times did you travel? I traveled to Africa 2 times. In April 2019 and in January 2018. What is your marital status? Are you married? What is your marital status? Are you married or single? Have you ever married? Does your spouse lives with you? Does your wife lives with you? Does your husband lives with you? Do you have children? What are their names? Can you tell me their age? How many children do you have? So these are some of the questions which may be asked by the citizenship officer or citizenship judge during the interview to see your English communication skill. ስለዚህ ይሄን እንደዚህ አይነት ጥያቄዎች ሊጠየቁ ይችላሉ። አሁን ፈተና ሲኖራችሁ ከፈተና በኋላ ኢንተርቪው citizenship judge ኢንተርቪው ሲያደርጋችሁ የተለያዩ ጥያቄዎች ሊጠየቁ ይችላሉ። እነዚህ ጥያቄዎችን በደንብ ተከታተሉና እነዚህ ከተከታተላችሁ በጣም ጠቅሟችኋል። ስለዚህ አሁንም citizenship ፈተናን በተመለከተ በተለያየ መንገድ ሐሳብና ምክር ለመጠየቅ ከፈለጋችሁ ልደውሉን ትችላላችሁ። ስልኬ 403 993 9355 ነው። አመሰግናለሁ።